in school libraries, and our friends from Follett as well. And so we're grateful that they are supporting us here, and we're grateful that our room is growing and we see some good friends here. And I wanted to introduce Heidi, who I have been learning about, and I'm not sure what the next slide is. Oh, before we do that, let's figure out where everybody's from. So if you don't mind, grab this little toolbar that's vertical next to the participant area, and there's a little star that you might choose, and let us know where you are tuning in from. Okay. And if you feel like throwing something in the chat as well, go right ahead and do that. Heidi, where are you joining us from?
I'm from a little city called Fort Thomas, Kentucky. We're just south of Cincinnati, Ohio. So we're Kentucky, I guess.
Very cool. All right, so folks are from all over the states and some places I would like to be right now.
Yeah.
Thanks. Brisbane, great. Did I meet you at Brisbane? I think I did. Well, we probably shouldn't chat for too long because we want to give Heidi her full time. So I've been following Heidi's work. I've been following her on Twitter. I've been seeing her slides. I've been watching her instructional videos that she's putting out. And I'm just so impressed with her humor, her spirit, the transparency of her practice, the levels at which she shares. And Steve's reminding me that I forgot to tell you about the Padlet. We're hoping to, Shannon's here too. You see Shannon in a little there. Feel free to jump in, Shan. We're collecting your responses over the course of the day on this Padlet. So any great ideas, please share here, padlet.com/JoyceValenza/connectedlib. And Shannon and I will revisit this at the end of all of the workshops or the sessions today. So that will come around again, I think. And I'll move to the next slide. And this is about Library 2.014, which continues on Wednesday and Thursday, as we mentioned. Please join us for that, too. And the founding member of that is San Jose State University. We love Steve Hargadon for pulling all this together. And our hosts for the whole event, me and Shannon, Britton Follett, and Dr. Ross Todd from Rutgers University in Sizzle. And slides are moving slowly. All right, so now I'm going to introduce Heidi, who I was speaking about earlier, who I discovered through this whole connected librarians world, through Twitter, through the media that she creates and puts up, through her sense of humor, through her just lovely instructional spirit. I've been reading her annual report as an infographic, her adventures with augmented reality and with genreification and all sorts of author visits and all sorts of stuff. And I've watched her kids and their videos, and I've been charmed. So with no further ado, Heidi, why don't you take it away?
Okay, great. Thank you so much for asking me to be part of today. Being connected has totally changed everything about my career, and it is just wonderful getting to share with people and learn from people. And I'm really passionate about learning. Most recently, I've been really passionate about learning about library advocacy and advocating for our programs. Kentucky is no different than a lot of states where they're cutting programs, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything as a school librarians to make sure that doesn't happen. So this summer, I got to hear Jennifer Lagarde speak, and I just was completely wowed by her at our summer conference for Kentucky, our CASL summer conference. And so she sort of inspired me to start thinking about how I communicate with my stakeholders. She mentioned in her presentation that she used to keep a data wall, and she would have all kinds of library checkouts. You know, how many circulations she had, and her principal pointed at it and said, "Why do I care about this?" And I was like, oh my gosh, that was such a light bulb moment. So I've really been trying to think of ways in the last few months for how I can connect things directly to my stakeholders to give them what they want to know, not just what I'm excited about. So that's kind of where my idea came from for today, with talking about a stakeholder toolkit and all the little tools that I use to develop develop materials to share with my stakeholders. So the first thing you have to do is you have to know your stakeholders. Obviously, students are stakeholders, teachers, administrators, parents. You might be working with your community members. You might be looking at legislators and thinking of them as stakeholders. I primarily just focus on students, teachers, administrators, and parents. So that's who I started with, and one of the things that I did was I started researching my stakeholders. I reviewed our mission statement for our Fort Thomas Independent School District, and I looked at our school improvement plan and tried to figure out what our goals were and how I could supplement or add to those goals. We also do, in Kentucky, we have TEL survey results, and I was looking around, and it looks like there are a lot of states that use TEL survey, and you get all different kinds of stakeholder information from TEL survey data, so that kind of gives you an idea of what people are thinking and what they think is important. And the last thing I did is I used Google Forms to survey my stakeholders, and I surveyed the administrators at our district level and my building level, and I also surveyed teachers and students to find out what was important to them. And I found a lot of good things from that. Oh, good, it loaded. For teachers and administrators, everybody who responded said that student growth and success is really one of their #1 priorities, along with our district mission, which is fostering a culture where students are creative, curious, and innovative. Teachers also reported differentiation and creating a culture of collaboration as being important to them. So when I think about those things, I have to start thinking about how I'm going to craft my library message to hit those things. For students, they responded with the most important thing for them in the elementary level is finding a book that they like to read, or being able to find books that they're interested in for topics that they're interested in knowing more about. So I have to address them in a different way than I address the adults. And so that's really kind of where I'm starting. I'm starting from these priorities, and I'm tailoring my message to my stakeholders based on their needs. The AASL put out a document that they call the Health and Wellness Toolkit, and I have a link for it. I'll post that real quick in the chat room. This is an awesome resource that I've been working with, and they have all kinds of really good information about what stakeholders are interested in. Like they say, parents are interested in safety and that kind of thing. So that's also a good place to start if you haven't polled your people to find out what's important to them. And then you want to craft your message. I try to kind of have talking points based on the groups that I'm working with. So if I'm talking to an administrator, I might throw out a statistic about how the library is helping students succeed, or I'd share a story. But the big thing is you want to keep it simple and short. They sometimes compare it to like the grocery store parking lot talk. Like if you get somebody in a parking lot, what would you want to tell them in like the 5 minutes? Or if you're trapped on an elevator with something, you might have 2 minutes to tell them something important. So I try to keep my message to a few talking points, a few bullets. And I boiled down our message this year, or our theme for the library, to the words read, create, collaborate. And I think that kind of hits on our district mission and the things that are important to my teachers and my administrators. So definitely keep your message simple as you're talking to people. So this is the toolkit. These are all of the things that I use to communicate to my stakeholders. And I'm going to give you guys some examples of each of these things along the way. I did put together a little blog post. I'll post that link for you, where I thing linked this slide and with resources that you can use to use these different things and different examples. So I basically use video tools, graphic design tools, general web tools, reporting tools, and bring your own device tools. So for video, I'm really heavy into Powtoon and Screencast-O-Matic. I know that there's a lot of different screencasting tools out there, like Camtasia, I think is one, and I've just started learning about Jing, which looks really good. I would say if you're going to screencast, pick something that you're comfortable with and work with that. Screencast-O-Matic works for me. It's free. I don't make a video longer than 15 minutes, so that makes it really good. And Powtoon, I'm still working under like the educator account. I haven't paid for anything yet, but Powtoon is great. And I pair that with Audacity, and I've got some examples that I can share later with Powtoon. But basically, it looks really professional. You create like a cartoon of topics, and I've done all kinds of stuff with that. Research skills, Big 6 research skills, dictionary skills, and then I introduced our theme for the year with Powtoon, and the kids don't know that it's me on the voiceover, and they always, I have this little penguin that is always real kind of sarcastic almost, and the kids are like, oh, that penguin's so funny, and as I'm showing the video, I'm thinking, that's me, that's not the penguin, but, Powtoon is great. Graphic design tools, I am not a graphic design artist. I am not an artist. And Canva and Picasa, both free resources, really make me look like I could be. And I think that goes a long way in branding your message. And I'll be sharing some examples of that along the way too. General web tools, I do use Blogger. Our school district uses SchoolPoint websites. And then I communicate with my parents on Facebook. And then Destiny, you can do a lot with Destiny to communicate information to people. For reports, I use Smore, Pictochart, and Publisher. I still use old school Microsoft Publisher. It still looks really professional, works well in email. And then bring your own device tools. QR codes are awesome, but my new favorite thing is Arisma. And if you haven't heard of Arisma, it will blow your mind. You have to look up Arisma. It's incredible. A student could scan a book, and a video will pop up of another student talking about the book. It is so neat, and the kids love it. They love working with it. So those are the tools that I use to communicate, and I'm just going to walk through kind of my thought process a little bit and how I'm using those tools for each thing. So the first group that I'm worried about, very first group I'm worried about communicating with is my students. And their priority, as they told me this year, is finding books they like and pursuing their own interests. Of course, I have to worry that they're getting content and that kind of thing too. So the big piece that I worked on this summer was helping students find fiction books. And I genreified my library. I found Shannon Miller's post about that, and she helped me. She probably didn't even know she was helping me. And I mean, just the amount of information that librarians are sharing about how to do this is so helpful. But what I did was I made sure that I made section dividers and posters. The picture on the left there is a picture of some old VHS tape cassettes that I repurposed and made into shelf dividers that will go directly on the shelf, and I can face them outward so the students can see them, or they can go right in line with the books, and they kind of stand out on the shelves. I also made posters that I haven't blown them up to poster size yet. That'll be a future expense. But I put the sticker that I used for my genre process on that, and I used Canva to combine those. And I also used Peggle Word, it's like a word cloud generator, to make those posters. And I started facing books outward. Like just facing books outward like they do in a bookstore changes everything. And I went and found some containers at the dollar store. I probably spent $10. And circulation is up all over my fiction section. In 1 month, we had 199 additional checkouts for just 1 month. And so for me, that's saying, okay, I'm clearly now communicating with my students, and they can see where the books are that they want. And that was their priority. So I feel like I'm connecting with them on their priority. I am still working on my everybody section. So the first thing I did for this, and I haven't gone much further than this, is I bought these shelf markers from Demco, and we put pictures on there and covered it in Mod Podge. And just in the last 2 weeks, the kids have been saying, oh, I didn't know we had Miss Nelson books, or I didn't know we had Clifford books. And it just, those always seemed so obvious to me. I didn't realize that they couldn't find them. And they're really getting excited to find these books. So I think these little communication tools are working to really help the kids. And so the more visual I can make it for the kids, I think the better communication that I have with them, especially here at the elementary level. Another idea that I've been working on, I've been running into some roadblocks with this, is letting your library desktops do the work for you, do some communication work for you. I spoke with my friend James Allen down in Oldham County. He's a high school librarian, and they use Google Form for check-in and check-out. Like, I know a lot of librarians have a signature sheet. Well, he has a designated station where the kids come in, they sign in on the Google Form, sign out on the Google Form, and then they answer a question that he might have, like if he wants to know what books they want to check out, or if, you know, they did a good job of meeting their needs. And so he's able to get quick feedback from his students with a Google Form at a designated station. And what was beautiful, I'd never even thought of this, he said if they have a fire drill, he just has to grab his phone, pull up that form on his phone, and he can see who's in the library with him. And so that's a huge safety piece that I didn't even think about. The other thing that he was saying that they do is they use Picasa again, and that's a free download through Google. And he uses a Google Photos screensaver. So he takes pictures of the books in the library, and they make a screensaver out of it, and new books that come in will pop up, and the kids will see that on the screensaver and get a quick little preview of some of the books that are in the library that are new. So I've been working on that piece, and I keep hitting roadblocks with that. It's just user error, I know. So I hope to have that up and running on my desktop soon. And you could create a contest or something. Maybe the kids can create a contest for your screensavers that will help, you know, communicate information to them about the library and what the library has to offer. Another way that I'm trying to connect to student interests is just using our Destiny homepage. And I do have a symbol in here. And what is awesome about this is it gives information that is safe for the kids to use. I have all kinds of links that would be good for them to go to. And they, at kindergarten age, ask their teachers if they can go to the JES library page. And that's great because it's getting them in a healthy habit of going to our library page first to find the information that they need. And I hope to just continue that as they get older and say, well, did you check our library page for information? And so the symbol is great for drawing students in and catching them, catching their attention. Another thing that I did, and I got this tip from Shannon also, is I made a visual search with our new genres using the stickers. And the kids can click on the visual search and see what books are in each of our new sections. And I also add book trailers, student-made book trailers that my kids here make, to our Destiny Mark records. And that is a great way for them to look for books that they like. They just search book trailers, and all the books that have a book trailer attached to them come up, and they can watch the previews and see if it's a book that they think that they would like. So that's just another little communication piece that we use that I think is really helpful for students. And I think the last big way that I communicate with my students is through screencasts and videos. I kind of mentioned the screencasts already. If you don't make screencasts, if there's one thing that you try from this presentation, maybe it would be screencasts. It saves me so much time. The first screencast I made was about how to make an MLA works cited page using Word 2010. They just use the references tab, and a third grader can easily crank out a works cited page in a matter of minutes. And so I made a video, and we watch that every year, and then if the kids forget, they can go to my web page and watch the video, and their teachers send them to that web page. And so really from third grade and up, my second graders could probably do it. Everybody always has a good works cited page attached to all their research. And so the screencast has helped because I don't have to keep telling them how to do it. They have my voice and they have the actions of the screencast recorded for them to see at any time. I make a lot of screencasts for different things that we're doing, like our district uses Office 365 online, and so I make screencasts to show kids how to do different things. Our second graders can log in and create a Word document in the cloud, and I just think that's an awesome way to put myself out there and be out there 24/7 for everybody to see. And then Powtoon, I use that for things that are a little more involved. Like I introduced our library theme with a Powtoon. I usually do one every year to get them get the kids ready for the year. I said I did a Big Six Powtoon, and I did one for a dictionary. It really helps create a consistent message across classes, and it's entertaining, and the kids love it. Like they crack up about the penguin. In fact, our PE teacher made a Powtoon, and she had a penguin who did a different accent, and she said that she just told the kids that her penguin was the library penguin's cousin, which I thought was just classic. So Powtoon is definitely something I would also check out if you have a little more time, because that is more involved than just screencasting. And the bring your own device tools, I think a lot of people use the QR codes. They might put a QR code in the book or QR codes to your library page. But the one I've been working with a lot is augmented reality. And I did write a post about augmented reality on my blog, which I think I don't have the link for that. I don't even know how to explain it for people who have never seen it. The picture on the right where there's like a purple swirl is what happens when you hover over something that has an aura attached to it. So you can use it for handouts. The example picture I have here was it was how to fill in a handout when you're researching on a website, the source information you have to fill in. And so the kids could hover over the handout with their iPad, and then a video of me pops up that explains to them how to fill in the handout. And so all you have to do is, for the auras, is you make a video, and then you attach that video to a book, for example. So the kids do book talks. And the kids make these. They'll make a book talk and take a picture of the book, and then when any other student walks through and scans that book, the picture or the video of the student talking about the book pops up. It's such a great way for the kids to be excited and to talk about books and find books that they like. So definitely check that out. You can email me or you can message me on Twitter, and I'm happy to help because I think Aurasma and augmented reality are awesome tools for communicating and generating excitement around books. The next group of people that I talk to a lot are my teachers, and their priorities that they've communicated to me are student success and growth, fostering an environment where the kids can be creative, curious, and innovative. And they also mentioned needing help with RTI and differentiation, those kinds of things. So I try to tailor my message to them in a little bit of a different way. They are busy. Time is of great importance. So I try to keep my information to them to once a week. I try weekly to send out something I just call Tuesday Teacher Tips. And in my Tuesday Teacher Tips, I will share a technology strategy with them, and then some kind of strategy related to what they're interested in, differentiation, RTI, something like that. And then I also try to share resources that the library has with ways that they can use those resources. So we just got the book in, President Taft is Stuck in the Bath, and the kids just thought that book looked hilarious. So I thought, well, that would be a fun book for teachers to pair with nonfiction text about President Taft and to try to research to see, did he really get stuck in the bath, or is that just a rumor? because it's not confirmed. I guess you wouldn't want that to be confirmed anyway. But so, you know, I do try to share a resource with ways that they can use that resource. So I try to keep it to 3 things and keep it brief and once a week because they don't have a lot of time. And what is also nice about S'more, I use S'more for this, is it has an analytics page that you can check to see if they're reading it or getting it or how much time they're spending on it. And that's a good tool for you to use because if I see, okay, only 5 of my teachers logged in to look at this week, that lets me know that maybe they're too busy and I need to back off. Or maybe I'm not connecting with topics that they're interested in and I can just kind of ask them face-to-face. So the analytics page on S'more is really useful, I think, and it can be something that you use to kind of analyze your work and to identify if it's helping, if people are getting your message. So I really love S'more for that, and it looks nice and it's easy to embed in your blog or on your web page. With teachers, I think we can never do too much face-to-face stuff. I meet with each of my teaching groups during the summer, and we go over plans that they have and ways that I can help them. And then through the year, I try to tailor PD that they need based on what they tell me. So teachers can email me anytime and ask me to do a PD on whatever, and I will put one together for them. So I do a lot of PD, and when I do PD, I try to give them visuals. One of the things I do is power lunches, where it's 10 to 15 minutes of, hey, here's a technology tip you guys were interested in, but you needed somebody to show you how to do it. So I'll send them a visual like the QR code here, where it gives them the date and the times and just the gist, because that's all teachers have time for. So I try to really try to boil it down for them into one visual that they have to look at. I did use Picasa for the QR code, and I think Picasa works really well for that. Or my new favorite is Canva, and this was just another visual that I used with Genius Hour for teachers, just so they had a little bit of information about what they were going to be learning about. So with teachers, I just find keep it short, keep it visual, and they'll see it. You know, those lengthy emails just don't get read, unfortunately. I also like to use infographics with teachers for PDs. I try to give them or have them walk away with one page with the most important information, and that's where infographics really come in, because you can get a lot of content that looks visually appealing onto one page. This is just a portion of an infographic that I made using Pictochart. There are lots of infographic generators out there. I just happen to use Pictochart because it's the first one I ever played with, and I loved it. So this is an example of a SAMR infographic that I made for my teachers. And then another thing you can do is you can app smash that with ThingLink and curate resources for them that they can come back to over and over and over again. So when I made this infographic, I also put it on my blog as a ThingLink, and each of the little icons down here, the Pick Stitch and Socrative and Sketch, all had links for them that had a lesson idea attached, or it had a directions for how to use the app attached. And it just really helped my teachers later, because they could come back to it when they had time to come back to it, and not just we had 2 hours or something like that for the PD session, and it could have been an all-day thing. So that's another fun way to use infographics, is to app smash it with something like ThingLink. Communicating with administrators, again, they're very busy and don't have a lot of time. So the priorities that my administrators have mirrored the ones that my teachers had. So a lot of the message that I share with them is similar. For them, though, I use Pictochart still to create library reports. And in the past, I would have like all these great circulation statistics, like look at all the nonfiction books kids are checking out. Everybody wants the you know, war books this time or whatever. And my principal wasn't interested in that information. I thought he would be. They're more interested in how I'm helping student growth. So this year, here's a little snapshot of what I'm working on for my first quarter library report. I did my first ever summer reading program. And I took the kids who were in summer reading and I compared their test results for some 2 initial assessments we did. One was STAR Enterprise. They took a STAR Enterprise reading test. And then they also took an iReady diagnostic test. So I looked at the kids who participated in summer reading to see how they fared in that in those 2 assessments to see if they, you know, scored pretty high. And I didn't have a lot of participation this summer, but I'm hoping next summer we do. But I did find that 50% of the participants, summer reading participants, scored in the top 4 of their class for STAR reading, which I thought was pretty impressive. And I hope I can capitalize on that statistic to try to get more parents to encourage their students to read during the summer. And then I also had found that 63% of the participants scored at above grade level on their iReady diagnostic test for reading. So, you know, we only had, I think, 33 students participate, but for a first-year program that happened over the summer, I was pretty happy with that. So that's one of the things that I'll work on growing for next year, and I'll be able to talk to my principal about ways that we can grow that program and the potential benefits of that. So that's how I'm trying to tailor my library report now and work on aligning that to student growth. The other thing that I'll share with my principal is how there are more kids checking out books because we made changes based on student feedback. So that's another piece that I'll put into my library report. With the administrators, I'm also going to share programming. We are working on a one book, one school, and this will be the first time that we ever did this. So I used Canva to create my my little graphics, and I'm trying to create a graphic that we can use year after year. So this is a picture of my library. My library is actually separate from the school, so that's why it looks like we have a really small school, but that's not the whole school, that's the library building. And so I put the one book, one school information over top of that. And then we're going to be reading Because of Winn-Dixie. And so I feel like this program in particular hits on a lot of the goals that my district administrators have and that our school board has for our school, where we're being innovative and we're generating students who are curious, and we're working in collaboration. So what I'm going to do is I bought copies of the book with library funds for each teacher in my building, and I just expanded that out and bought it for every adult in my building and the school board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a thank you letter to our school board. Our school board is awesome. They donate back all the money that they're supposed to be making for being on the school board to a scholarship fund. So we're going to thank them for doing that kind of thing to take care of our students. And I'm going to send them a copy of the book and ask them to participate. And in the meantime, it's going to have all of that, you know, Johnson Elementary, one book, one school. So that will be in their heads, and they'll see what we're doing in the library. And I just think that's a good way for us to share our programming, is just by being personal about it and letting them know, like, we're doing things that align to our district school mission. So I love our school board. I love our administration. And I hope, you know, if nothing else, they get a book out of it. So, and they get to learn what we're doing. So that's what I wanted to do with our administrators. The last group that I worry about communicating with is parents, and I haven't sent out my first quarter information to them yet, so I don't have any kind of data about what they like. The AASL says that parents are usually concerned with student safety, some of the obvious stuff, student success, helping students with homework, that kind of thing. So in my email blast, I use Publisher, and Publisher is great because it will directly embed into an email, and it looks very professional. You can add links, you can add photos. all that stuff that, especially in an elementary school, you might not want to put online necessarily on a s'more or something like that. And what's beautiful about this is they don't have to click on anything. It's just right there in their email. They don't have to click on anything additional, and they're more likely to read this content if it's right there in the email for them. So in our email blast, I try to share things that I think parents would want to know about, like digital citizenship, how to keep your child safe. What are the safe sites for your child to use? Again, hitting on those stakeholder priorities. I also try to celebrate the success that students have. We're an AR school, so we publish AR results for our top winners. And if a student is doing a fun project, we share that project. So those are the kinds of things that I share with parents, and those are a little lengthier because I only send them out once a quarter. And on a sort of day-to-day basis, I use social media. Right now I'm only using Facebook, but I'm going to be branching out into Twitter. And I use Canva to sort of create a logo for our library page. We've got our profile pic and our banner. It's this read, create, collaborate with the theme that's really nice into the banner. And it just lets people know, oh, okay, this is our library, and let me read this post real quick. And I think having the same logo that you use across social media platforms would help parents quickly identify you on a wall filled with tons of information. And somebody's asking, does the publisher file need to be saved as HTML? No, it embeds it directly into the email for you. I wish I was smart with HTML. I'm not very smart with that. And all I have to do is go to share, and it does it all for me and makes me look really professional with that. Sorry, I'm not very good at keeping track of the chat box. I also have been working on communicating programming to my parents. Summer reading, I sent out on Facebook, I sent out really weekly updates on Facebook. And some parents would say, like, oh, I saw this on Facebook. I forgot we were doing this week. And they would come in to the school, or their kids would post books that they had read on our Google form. And that really helped. I also share, like, our Powtoons, our back-to-school Powtoon. I shared that. I'll share our One Book, One School Powtoon, along with a resource page through Facebook and an email blast so that the parents know what's happening. And most of the links will direct them right back to our library webpage where they can find tons and tons of information. So that's another way that I tried to connect with parents. And I really did try to fly through this so that if people had questions, which I wasn't keeping up with very well, I can answer them. But I just think, there are so many tools available to us that are free or partially free that we can use, that it's important for us to pick things that work well for you and use those and use them to the best of your ability, and really just try to be consistent across all kinds of avenues for your stakeholders. Because if we're not communicating our programming and if we're not responding to their needs, then we're not really helping. But I don't know if anybody has questions, or if you need me to talk any more in depth about some of the things that I'm using. I did have some links. I have a link to a Powtoon if you can post that, I think. Yep. Here's a Powtoon. I think this one is the one for One Book, One School. Yep.
I could give folks a mic if they'd like to talk.
Okay. I can do that, or let's see.
I think you can as moderator too. So would you, if you want to speak, you can raise your hand, or you can leave a question. I'll go through the chat, but we can also leave questions in the current.
So to raise your hand, and there's a little icon in the participant window. It's the third one over. That's the raised hand. Do you see Peggy's question there?
About, let's see, do you have a team of people? Was it that one? Do you have a team of people you work with? Not really. It's kind of just me on my soapbox. I do try to work with getting ideas from people in my district, and I have a part-time assistant who helps me cut stuff out, and some great parent volunteers, but most of this I just kind of burn the midnight oil and get it together. I wish I had a team. I need an assistant, a full-time assistant. Okay, as an MLS student, most of these, what's Christina saying, as an MLS student, most of these tools are new to me. How do you find these? Twitter. Twitter, I find so much from Twitter. People will just start talking about it. I'm like, oh, I wonder what that is, and then I kind of dive in and look at it. I think I found Pictochart. That's the Pictochart is the infographic organizer I use because I saw it listed on somebody else's infographic, and I explored it and went to that site and started using it. There's probably other sites that are a little easier to use that I haven't had a chance to explore yet, and maybe I will in the future. S'more was another one that I saw somebody using it, and a lot of times people will email me and say, you've got to try Canva. James Allen from Oldham County did that. He kept emailing me. I think he told me about it 3 times before I finally got on there. So it's one of those things where the more you see something, then suddenly your interest is piqued. That's what happened with Arizona too for that.
You know, one of the things you can do as a connected librarian is just reach out. Like if you want to go on Twitter with PLChat hashtag and just say, what is your favorite tool for desktop publishing or for creating infographics, people will answer you. They're searching the hashtag, and that's just a great way to start getting involved if you haven't yet. And follow Heidi on Twitter. Follow the people Heidi is following. It's not too hard to build a network among this group of ours. So, yep. So let's see. Do we have any other questions?
There's one recommendation for the first group of stakeholders. I think students are our biggest population that it's important to work with them. And then after that, teachers and administrators. So I started with the students this summer. I started trying to tailor my message to them a little bit better, especially with finding books since that's their priority. And then I stepped out and started working on how I was going to work with my teachers. And now I'm just getting started into administration, like tailoring my message better to them. Because really, you know, it's been kind of a 2-year process with getting students with the Powtoons and then teachers with PDs and that kind of thing. So it won't happen overnight. You know, take your time. You don't have to do it all at once.
Among the questions, Heidi, was we're going to be archiving this. Would you be willing to share your slides as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I did have I wrote up a quick blog post where I put the slides, and I made a thing link of resources, kind of what I do for my teachers that I give PD to. Let me see if I can post that link again real quick. In here.
I'll put it on the Padlet, and I'll make sure that all this stuff gets curated too. So we'll pull this all together.
Okay.
So I'm wondering.
Oh, this is app smashing. I love app smashing. Again, start small. It's you can get. I mean, all of a sudden it'll be 2 a.m. and I'm still awake trying things out. So you really have to. I drank too much coffee. You really have to start small. Start with one thing that works for you. Like Screencast-O-Matic was my first thing that I started with, and then I've stepped it out from there each year.
I'm thinking, Heidi, that there are some people who don't know what app smashing is. So maybe you should talk a little bit about that, and then before we close up.
Okay, app smashing is where you you use an application like, it could be a computer application, or typically it's like an iPad application, and you begin a project in that application, and then you save it usually to your like photo reel, and move whatever you created into a different app and work with it in that different app. So an example that I would use is my students will make iMovies book talks. And then once they've made their iMovie of a book talk, we save it into the photo reel, and then we share that with Arizma. And then the kids can use Arizma then to scan books and see their book talks that they made. Or I might make an infographic on just online on the desktop, and then move that into ThingLink and put different links on the ThingLink. So that would be another example of app smashing. I've seen people use Peligami, which is another app, and combine that with iMovie or all kinds of things. But usually with app smashing on an iPad, your central storage location is your photo reel or your photos, and you move content in and out of apps that way. And so if you Google app smashing, there's a million wonderful ideas for different things you can do.
So what I'm thinking about when we talk about app smashing is that's a real learning opportunity too. We're doing it, but we're modeling it. And what app smashing really is problem solving. I have a creative challenge in front of me. How am I going to meet the needs of that challenge? How can I use the tools that I have available to do this in the most creative way possible? And that's a real skill. And I think that we don't often think about the fact that we're making decisions as we're going along. We do these things automatically. But for learners, it's important that we model this and we have them ask questions. I need to crop this, or I need to add music, or I need to publish this in a good space, and then I need to make sure people see it. So all these things are part of a different kind of process that maybe we haven't really talked about before.
Yeah, absolutely. And the kids, I mean, especially if you're getting into project-based learning or Genius Hour or concepts like that, it gives the kids a lot more freedom to explore. Because especially if you're modeling it for them, they can see, oh, I don't have to just do a presentation. I could make a video that I link to something in the real world, or I can write a song and talk about my own process in the documentary. Like it just opens up all kinds of windows for them and doors for them.
And how many times do we say to the kids, okay, here's a project, and you're going to use VoiceThread to tell this story? And it feels it's so prescribed in a world where there are so many choices and so many different student talents. And so you might, I know Shannon and I, and probably you do, create these toolkits for kids and say, here are some of your options. How are you going to mash it up, as Polly said? How are you going to solve this problem? And I love the idea that we're able to do that right now. And if they have their iPads, they may respond to a prompt in 100 different ways using different tools.
Yeah, I mean, just giving them the freedom. One of the things that I want to really work on this year is just saying, hey guys, let's just play and learn how to do something with this so we can use it later. I had students who are working in Office 365 and learned how to collaborate on a PowerPoint, and they just thought that was the best thing ever. Now imagine them making a QR code of the PowerPoint that they made and pasting that on a display and creating their own interactive displays. That's what, those are some skills that they can take with them into middle school or into high school and really sort of branch out from there, I think.
So Heidi, how many years have you been a school librarian, and what has your takeaway been from this time?
I have been a school librarian now. This is my 5th year. I feel like it's been a lot longer than that. And I I was never an elementary librarian, an elementary teacher, sorry. I was a high school teacher, so I had absolutely no idea what an elementary library should look like. I just came in and started doing stuff that I thought was fun. And so I just think that when I'm excited about the learning, the kids are excited about the learning, and that's when really cool things happen. And it's been an incredible 5 years. I'm energized every day when I get home.
Well, I think that's a great way to end. If we have any more questions, that would be great. If not, I think we're probably at just the right time to close the room and stop the recording. And people need a break, of course. And Heidi, thank you so much for sharing all you did. And so folks know, the next session will be Judy O'Connell, who is coming to us from Australia. And oh my goodness, I've forgotten the title for a session, but I know it's going to be wonderful. Please forgive me. So I'll see you in about 5 or 10 minutes. Everybody take a break, and we hope you'll join us again. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heidi. That was awesome.
Thanks so much.